Okay. Well, thank you for sharing some celebrations. I'm just going to recap where we're at. So, we are going to look at the quiz scores aligned to writing, and we'll look into the standards tracking tab in your hub, and then we can add the scores there. Okay, cool. So, what were the questions?
So it was just like breaking down an introduction paragraph because like it was stumping them so hard last week. I was like, no, you should not be this stumped. So we did like a very basic formula of like hook plus central idea sentence plus thesis.
Yep.
And that's what like we would be looking for like these two things. And I was like going through and I'm like, every kid wrote a lot.
Yay.
For like their introduction. I was trying to think of like a middle row person, and I feel like Ethan's like a pretty good like middle row. So I was thinking maybe we could look at him.
Absolutely.
So he started. So what we've been doing is just like, here's your 2 articles.
Little reading.
Here are the 2 quotes I want you to look at, and this is just what you're gonna pull from your introduction.
Perfect.
So it's not making them read like a whole thing. It's
really
just like
targeted.
Quick, fast. Like okay, so like these were 2 articles about Martin Luther King. I have a dream, and they said you've read Martin Luther King, and I have a dream. Text about MLK. I a well-known civil rights activist using both texts, analyze the similarities and differences between the points of view of the author and the speaker, and how the impacts where the stories are told. It's the exact same as ANET 2, but it's just 2 different texts.
Yep.
And he started with Martin Luther King Jr. was an American Baptist. He was one of the most prominent people. Oh my gosh!
Yay!
From the 1905 until his assassination in 1968. Boom.
So we got prominent, which is good.
Yeah.
So like he's like pulling things. Yes, I love that.
Cutie.
That's really
so he said
strong.
What inspired his Christian beliefs were nonviolence. Interesting. Is he just like
what? He says he talks about nonviolence and inspired. Yeah. Oh, yep, right here. What inspired his Christian beliefs?
So I think he's pulling. Okay. He had a dream that his 4 children will live in a nation. Blah blah blah. Okay, so for Ethan, he focused way on the hook. He didn't give me the central ideas, and he didn't give me the thesis. So
got it.
I told him 1 sentence, and I think some of them are getting carried away. I'm like, it is 1 sentence. So his grade will not be the best, but maybe look at someone else. Let's see. Eden.
Okay. First and different things. So they went right into their thesis.
Eden went back right into his thesis. It shows that it can be defined as something that can have effect. This looks like it's a copy paste. Okay, sad day. Okay, Evelyn. MLK and I Have a Dream text share the same similarities but have some differences. Okay. One difference is MLK, John Getty, who is about Martin Luther King and how he died, and I Have a Dream by MLK. Okay, very redundant. Although they have differences. Okay. Okay, so they're not hitting it as hard.
Thesis.
She has a thesis. I don't see a strong similarities in her difference. It's kind of like convoluted. And like I think like what we wanted them to hit is that the I Have a Dream speech was more about like his beliefs, where MLK was more about his background and like how he got started. And like the similarities was just like it showed like his effect on people. Like that was like the biggest ones that I would say.
Okay, so that was like your exemplar.
Yeah, that was our
exemplar.
Let's see if I can. Let's look at Jackie. She's more like higher. I'm okay. I Have a Dream, but I'm okay. Both have some differences. Some differences they are. Both have a difference in their city, make it history. They won't be separated. Some differences they have. And another dude's point of view of what they saw. So I would say this is more like central idea and thesis, which is like we taught them hook just because that's good writing techniques, not because it's on ANET.
Right.
It's not on the prompt, so she would
get
all her points for her introduction. So I would say I'm happy with hers. I'm wondering how we can reteach this with like your hook needs to be 1 sentence. If it's more than 1, you are wasting your time. Because like I thought we hit that pretty well on Thursday, but I think this might be like a go back moment.
One thing I talked to Gretchen about in our coaching meeting was like moving the thesis to the beginning as part of, and not as the hook, but like when she was going through the process, she was like, kids wanted to get right to their thesis.
Yes.
Right?
That's what we just saw. Yeah.
Right. And that's what we're seeing here. So I wonder if it's something like, if the framing is something like, wow, this is like a great to have. It is not something that like, one, I don't want you spending time on it because it's not even part of the standard. It doesn't come up. Sure, it's good writing, but like if some kids are there, awesome.
So push them as opposed to the other.
Absolutely, because what I'm thinking in some of these other kids is they spent time on the background. They didn't write a thesis.
Yeah.
And so what I would focus your reteach on would be, what is your thesis? How are you identifying your similarities and differences?
Yeah.
So what are your expectations for their thesis statement? What is it? 1 sentence, 2, 3, right? Because you have there are similarities and differences. Here's a similarity, here's the difference. Or do you want all of those in 1 sentence?
According to C3, they want it in 1 sentence.
Okay.
They want they want like the claim like these two texts are similar and different because in the two texts, blah 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 blah. They're similar because of this, but they are different because of this.
Yep.
Boom boom boom. Great. That's what they want.
Okay.
And I want to be careful about the background because they said they need to have background.
Yeah. Build some context.
Yeah,
for sure.
And that's why like the formula that we said was like you say in the informational text or in the poem, you say the type it is, you say the title, the author, and a 1 sentence central idea sentence.
For the background.
Okay. And that's it. So I don't know why these friends are like
getting really, really into it.
Yeah, that's one thing that was confusing me. Yeah, Zoe has a pretty exemplar, like this is exactly what we taught. So it's like Hook, in the article MLK, it talks about this.
Mm-hmm.
In the other one, it explains MLK wanted for the community and the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
And then
she gets into her thesis.
And then her thesis is 2 sentences, which I think it's okay for her. I'm just gonna. She's at a place where I'm like, yes, let's push you to like 2 sentence thesis. The other friends, I would say like a 1 sentence, just to be like, where's your thesis? Here it is. Okay, you're going to be talking about this, and you're going to be talking about this. That's what I should see in your ASIT 1 and your ASIT 2.
So one strategy that I've used in the past for helping kids with separating the two is either highlighting your background information in one color and then being like, yep, got it, right? A little check mark. And then highlighting their second, like their thesis in another color. And then when they do, you could do like a trade and grade or a something, or even like your feedback. You can put that in here and be like, hey, this is what it should look like. Here's an exemplar of what this is. Let's look at yours now. What do you have on yours? Do you have background information? Cool. Highlight that in blue. Where is your thesis now where you're answering and telling me the similarity and difference? Oh, you don't have that. Okay, like you have to have a claim.
Yeah.
You're missing that part. So I'm wondering if this kind of ties back to like when you did your feedback codes and when you started that. Like I think one, that'll help move the needle quicker for kids who are like, do you have this? Yep. And it's a plus. Quality, right? Do you have your thesis?
Okay.
Nope. Okay. Yeah. The highlighting piece could be a strategy for sure.
It's like the most important thing is the background and the thesis.
Exactly. Right. Background and thesis, those have to be in your intro.
Because if not, they lose so many points.
Exactly. And how are they going to carry those through into their paragraphs for their organization? So that's one of the other things that I know this type of writing lends itself pretty easily to being able to talk about a similarity in a paragraph and talk about a difference. So then you can use that same kind of color coding for your similarity. Your similarities are purple. You need a purple paragraph.
Yeah.
Your differences are yellow. You need a yellow paragraph.
I like that. I feel like we should do it on the writing and then just like color code the boxes for them.
And I think that's one super easy way for kids to take their thesis and recognize that like this is driving your whole essay.
Yeah.
Everything is centered around what you put here. You have no top. You can't write about anything without your thesis.
These are the only 2 things you're talking about. I'm wondering then, would you suggest like the sheet grading for compare and contrast with the language patterns? Could they be using that on mastery checks, or should we try to be getting them to use it?
I would have them,
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, have them try it.
That could have leveled up some of their writing.
Absolutely.
Because I've seen someone be like, oh, and then...
Yes. I would give that to them. Okay. And then once they've built kind of that habit, obviously then they won't need it, but they won't have it for like when they take the real ANET. But if they can get more at-bats with it, then they can start to remember and use that as like a memorization kind of like practice.
I like that.
Okay, cool. So what do you think your reteach Or like, what do you want to do then taking this information into your reteach?
Can we reprint responses? Like, is there a way to do that? Because I would love to like print this and like hand out my highlighters and be like next week.
Let's take a
Thursday
look.
we're doing like this week is already planned. I'm out Friday for home office training, but I'm wondering if I could like print this. I wonder if it's just like, if I just do that, or would it just do? That's the whole one. Okay. So maybe I'll just do that for each. I mean, it's like take some time, but I'll just be like control B.
Yeah.
But I think that could really help them, and then like show an exemplar on the board, and then do like a rewrite for like maybe like half credit points.
That would be awesome.
Or something like that.
I love that opportunity
because this is their first formative.
Oh, perfect.
For quarter two.
Yeah.
So like I'm hoping that will like help spark like let's get some points in and this and that. And then what I also want to show you, we did a mastery check today for 7-3. That was A-net.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, here I can put it in our standards thing. 7. Oh my God.
I don't know what was in the water, but 702 got 92% correct.
Whoa!
I was like, what are you guys doing?
Yay!
And
That's
like the question was
amazing.
like, it was like one of those tech enhanced ones, and it's like when it's list and it says like, what did it contribute? Did it contribute to this or did it not contribute to this?
Oh, okay.
And so like for them, it was, did it contribute to the Logan children wanting to seek revenge on the bus, or did it not?
Ooh,
and so like
I love
had
that.
things like the weather, the berries burning, or
and
was
then
it?
They had to move them into the right spot.
They just had to click it because that's
just,
how it is on A-net. So
great,
they
so they just selected it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's 8th grade where they move them.
Yeah, 8th grade and A-net 3 is where we move.
And you guys move yours on A-net 3.
And
okay.
No one got that one correct last year.
I know, right? Okay, so this one's 7-3.
7-3. Yeah.
Awesome. Let me. What was the question? Or when did you guys give it today?
Today, yeah.
Okay, so 10:31.
And the question was, label each situation as either the reason the Logan children sought their revenge on the bus or was not a reason. And like I took like big picture things that we were talking about, and they had to be like, is this a reason or is this not?
Got it.
And then they had 7 options.
Cool. And then I'll put 7 options.
702, 92%.
Awesome.
70. Oh, sorry.
No, you're okay. Okay, I was like, what happened? 702, 92.
8705, 87. And then 701 didn't get to it, but that's okay. I know that they were going a little slower today because of the reading.
Okay, so 701.
And then 4 and 3 still need tickets.
Okay, perfect.
So I can put those ones in afterwards.
Yeah,
but I was like, okay, wow. I did do A-net. Is this too easy of a question? What happened? I'm like, 92, no way.
That's great. I feel like it shows like so that the kids kind of understand what's going on in the story, which I feel like is always a plus.
Yes. Well, they were very upset because like they were like, why is the bus trying to run them over? I'm like,
right? Yeah, you're like, that was how it was.
That's how it was happening. They're like, no, and this and that. And I'm glad. I was worried some of them would get confused because they wrote like the berries burning was a reason. I'm like, it wasn't a reason for. It's something horrible. Like,
sure, right.
It wasn't a reason for the bus.
Yes, for that incident. Yes, which I think is hitting that standard, like
how
that particular that particular element of the story. Yeah, exactly. Shape, like whether it's the characters or whether it's part of the plot or whether that's super exciting. What do you feel like you did to contribute to like getting to those super high numbers?
I think like bringing back our reading workouts like in a shorter version is better because like I'm asking like those quick questions, but I'm trying to keep them like higher level, but also like it's just the A-net ones. I mean, not the A-net, the reading reconsider ones don't apply to the standard. Yes. And it's not like, I'm like, how does this affect this? How did so-and-so feel about this? Like, so it's more like, and I think like pausing it, being like, wait, what just happened? And someone's like, this, and this.
Right.
And then I really think the little central idea thing that you told us to start doing has been helping because they're like, this is what happened. And I'm like, you know we're doing that there? This is what you do for your like your introduction. So like I'm hoping that it just like everything connects. Like be like central idea, main idea. So I think that's just really helping.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So those shorter little bursts within the reading workout, having kids stamp the central idea has really been helping. And then asking questions aligned to the standard, which I feel like is always the hardest part of like, oh God, these questions are so stupid, or they're not aligned to the standard. I'm not going to throw these questions in there just because they're there.
Sentences. I'm like, why are there so many kernel sentences in this curriculum? I'm like, I don't even know what the benefit of the kernel sentences.
Yes, right. Like, they love them. Yes. And Sariana will tell you all the reasons why they love them. Okay, great. So we have some data here, which is super exciting. Yay. So I will get the data from Gretchen when I see her on Thursday. We'll pop in the data there. Awesome. Okay, cool. All right. Next topic. So we are in quarter 2 as like a network and as a school focused on curriculum implementation for ELA and math. Okay. So for ELA, that looks like a couple different things. And I'll share this with you. That can be your copy if you'd like. So we're focused on the launch of the lesson. So like the first few minutes of class, really focusing on that being under 15 minutes. And then the time and text. So when kids are reading, what does that look like? And then underneath that, there's a couple little things like independent thinking and like purposeful annotations. Yeah. And then the last piece, like student engagement. So being able to see like which kids are on task, are they engaged, looking for kind of like a percentage or so 3 different times when we're in class. So those are kind of the focus areas.
Could our central ideas be considered an annotation?
Not necessarily. So here's what I'm thinking, especially in the reading reconsidered, where it talks about, so in the lesson that I'm working on, at the top where I give them something to try to highlight. Oh my God, why do I have so many tabs? Right here. So like right here where it says annotate details that help you keep track of the land's history, highlight names and dates.
So you want more like just like quick, okay.
Yeah, so like this annotation focus is like names and dates. That's it. I'll put a couple questions over here that are just like, do you understand what's going on, right? I'm also shortening this text. So like right now it was, when I first copied and pasted it, it was like 3 pages. Okay. Shortening this down to like the main information. Okay. Like I'm just deleting stuff out of there. I'm like, we don't need to know like all these little details. Some of them are great, but like the gist is the land's history and this, what's that guy's name, trying to buy it, right? So like, and Big Mobby and like, nope. And then she goes into her whole history of, Granger. So like I'm cutting things out to make this a little bit shorter so that you guys can get through the cycles, but having an annotation task at the top of each little section. And then the questions over here will be more focused on like, do you know what's going on? And then I'll put your central idea down right here, main idea. So like within that little cycle, there'll be the annotation piece, and that's separate than the central idea. Because I think you want to just stamp like what just happened. Yeah.
And is this wanting to be happening like every cycle for annotations?
I would say at least one time in your cycle. So it doesn't really say
like every time the whole class.
One time in your whole class.
Okay, I was like, if this is every time, I'm like, that's gonna slow us down so much.
Yeah.
So like today, for example, we did like a chunk, and I was like, highlight the figurative language that you see, and then it was the central idea. Would that be like,
that would be fine. Awesome. So that would meet that, like of the quality annotations.
So maybe it can be like, what is characterization in this section or something like that, or like, where do you see a change in blah, blah, blah. Okay.
And I'm trying to like align all of this to this idea of like, what is the importance of this land? What does it symbolize for being African American during this time? Right? Like, why is that so important? And so like a lot of the annotations and questions are super focused on this objective. So like everything should be leading to this. Using explain and describe. So like pretty straightforward, but it might be like explain what is happening to the land at this moment, right? Or something like that.
The importance of land.
Exactly. What is the importance? So like if there are other random questions that Reading Reconsidered has, I'm like, is this helping drive to our objective? Nope. Goodbye. Yeah. So really pulling the ones that are aligning more here and then aligning more with the standard.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not too concerned. I feel like we do a lot of this already. I think we're just going to be more purposeful with the annotations.
Okay, cool.
Just
Okay, so would love to get just like an initial read. So thinking about this section, time and text here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is AF, so reading reconsider. So the ways of reading, we have the FAST. So I'm going to give you this too because it has all of the breakdown of each of the ways of reading. So one of the ways of reading that Reading Reconsider talks about is the fast reading. So fluent, accountable, social, expressive. Then they go into like the AIR, which I feel like is the accountable, independent, and they talk about that a lot. And then the last one is the read aloud. So within those three types, where would you say you execute, what percentage would you say you execute each week for the fast, the AIR, and the read aloud, just to get a baseline? I'll give you a minute to look it over.
Yeah. So is fast like kind of like popcorn?
It could be like popcorn, yeah.
Okay.
So it could be like choral reading, echo reading, paired reading, reader's theater, right? So like word, I guess popcorn read probably fits in there, but it doesn't really have that listed. Where like you're helping bridge some of the fluency. There are primary readers who are reading.
I feel like for AIR, because of just like the gaps in our kids, it's pretty low right now. It's probably like 10%.
Okay.
And then I feel like it's pretty half with read aloud and fast right now. Because like, tell me if I'm wrong, like fast is just like purposeful reading aloud.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like every time we start reading, there's normally like an annotation or like a text focus. Like when we're reading this part, I want you to think, like for example, like I want you to think, where did we see like injustices happening with the bus? And they're like, Wano tried to run them over. Wano waited for them at the end of the road to run them over and stuff like that. So like I think that's the way we do that. And then like the read aloud's been easy because we have the what you call it, the audiobook.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just think the AIR's been hard with.
Hello. Come on in. We're just wrapping up.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the read aloud, if you look at the read aloud, it's only the teacher.
Oh, so not even the audiobook? Okay. That is, I mean, I guess before Roll of Thunder, that was the only thing we were doing because we don't have an audiobook for that. So read aloud's a lot lower. I do know we're reading aloud when like there's a lot of hate speech involved.
Yes. Okay. So lower, but using the audio book.
They like the audiobook person way more than they like our voices.
I love the audiobook.
Okay.
They're
use
like,
it.
tired of your voice, Miss Harmon.
Use teacher read aloud when there's a lot of speech, hate speech. Okay. Okay, cool. And then just super quick, and we'll do this in your coaching meeting too, but just wanted to identify for the launch, has it been taking 15 minutes, would you say?
For the Do Now?
For the Do Now vocab knowledge organizer and building background knowledge.
On a great day, yes.
Okay.
Because our Do Now is normally less than 10 minutes. And like the vocab, it was slower because we changed the way we were doing vocab. Because now they're doing their sheets.
In their sheets.
They're doing the sheets in their folders, but it's been getting faster.
Okay.
We need to still implement the knowledge organizer, but yes, I would say ish.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not taking half the class
need
at all.
to implement. Okay. And then this last one that they have described on here is called I'm sorry, I'm looking at the AF, building disciplinary knowledge. So right here. And when they talk about that, it's like whether it's background knowledge or content knowledge that they need to know.
That's happening like every class.
Okay. And would you say that fits within your 15 minutes? No.
That's out, because that's like pretty like a heavy, like what was the Reconstruction period? What was like sharecropping? What were Jim Crow laws? Or like a whole lesson on Emmett Till? Because it's just they're coming in with like zero background knowledge on this topic, and we're literally having to be like, this is what segregation is.
Yes.
Because like they were like there was like whites only area, and I'm like, oh Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're just building a lot.
Need a lot more content building in general to better understand the text. Okay.
Yeah. I feel like eventually it'd be nice to know scope and sequence of like their standards in elementary school. Just because like sometimes I'm like, what are you supposed to know? Is this just like a gap? Is this because it's like no one in class knew. They were all like there was whites only areas, and I'm like,
you literally don't know that? Like, did you do social studies in
yeah, because I know 6th grade's world.
elementary? Right.
7th grade's from like World War One, World War
Right,
II,
which is
so it's like not that lens most of the time. So I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know if you feel the same.
Yeah, no,
I'm
it's
like,
wonder if that's something we
fascinating.
talked to Allie about too. It's like trying to build
align
that
more.
background.
Yeah,
That would be
History.
really cool. Like if they did that quarter 1,
Yeah.
then they came to you quarter 2
Yeah.
and had this text in front of them.
yeah.
That would be amazing.
I do know she's doing Pearl Harbor the week before we do ANET too, because they have to have 8 Pearl Harbor context, and I'm like, just tell them it's like important for like a blank reason.
Yes.
Don't tell them because like one of the things on the rubric is like,
so funny.
do they understand what Pearl Harbor is?
Right,
and,
and
I'm
you're
like,
they're
no,
they don't
right now,
but
no, but they will.
Yeah.
Like through a roundabout way.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
They even
interesting.
told us to do that because they're like, oh, we have lessons if you want to just like slide it in, and I'm like, social
Studies.
studies.
Here you go, Allie. Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna stop our video. Thanks, Eagle.